Hey everybody, this is Jim Grisanzio from the Oracle Groundbreakers team. We're back here to have a conversation with Markus Michalewicz. And Markus is one of the speakers in the Oracle Groundbreakers OGYatra big conference that started last week. It's running all this week and of course next week as well. This is put on by the India community, lots of Oracle technologies, lots of Java technologies, open source technologies, database, everything is in this conference. So Markus, welcome to the program.
Hello, Jim. Thanks for having me.
First, I want to hear you pronounce your name properly.
I'll give you a pronunciation of my name, Markus Michalewicz.
Oh, that wasn't too bad. That wasn't, I didn't, it certainly sounds more elegant saying it, actually hearing it from you, but I didn't do too bad.
Yep, you did very well.
You are the first speaker that I'm talking to for these interviews that I know before. Most of the talk, I think the vast majority of people I've spoken to have been brand new to me. I've met them for the first time. Now, I met you last December in Hyderabad at Singam 19, which was a spectacular conference. I had a great time, and but we didn't have a chance to actually do an interview. I was walking around with my camera and tripod, and we had a great conversation, but we didn't think to actually click record, right?
Yes.
So I saw your name on this year's agenda for the Groundbreakers OGYatra. And so I wanted to just have a chat with you. So before we get into all this stuff, why don't you give us just a quick summary, a few minutes or a minute or so of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Jim. So as I said, my name is Markus Michalewicz, and I run product management for Oracle's database high availability, scalability, and disaster recovery solutions, including maximum availability architecture. So if you're more familiar with our products such as DataGuard for disaster recovery, Active DataGuard, and Oracle Real Application Clusters fall into my team's responsibility from a product management point of view, including some of the high availability features that we have inherent in the Oracle database, such as flashback or online relocation operations. So this is roughly what we do. My PM team is right now 6 people, including me, 7 people of size, and we cover all these areas with different people around the world, really. We have people in US and in EMEA. And, we are happy to help our customers and the community to get acquainted with our products.
Cool. And I see you're in Redwood City.
Yes, sir. Based in the 400 building. So if you see it, it's basically, now it's inverted, but it's actually on the other side of the picture. So you can't actually see my building. This there is a 500 building, 600 building, and I'm on the opposite side of this picture, which you can't see right now.
Cool. Okay. So let's talk about OGYatra. You're going to be talking about standard edition, high availability. All right. So when I look at that title, I want to ask you, what is standard ability and why does high availability matter?
Right. Thank you, Jim. Now, I start differently. Most of our customers, partners, and people in the community, when they look at the Oracle database and they look in our Oracle pages, they are familiar with the Oracle Enterprise Edition. The Enterprise Edition is our flagship product, and all the options that I mentioned before, and including our maximum availability architecture, surrounds about the Enterprise Edition and how to use our high availability features and options in a most efficient way. Now, not every project, not every customer, and even within every customer, not every department needs a full-fledged high availability, scalability, and DR solution. There are certain projects in a department, or there's certain applications that you use in small, medium businesses and enterprises that just don't need the Enterprise Edition, and that is exactly where the Standard Edition comes in. It has a limited set of functionality compared to the Enterprise Edition. It doesn't support options. But we do understand that even for smaller projects, high availability is important, which is why we have actually a feature introduced very recently in Standard Edition, which is called Standard Edition High Availability. This was motivated by another step, but in the end, this is a new feature that I'm going to be talking about in OGYatra this year.
Okay, so it's a new feature to Standard Edition. Now, how many of the people how many of the people who would potentially be in this talk would know about standard edition and know about some of the distinctions that you mentioned?
Good question. A lot of our customers, as it's probably known, use end of edition. That is because Oracle tailors traditionally to enterprises, other enterprises, banks, insurances, and especially in India, those are our biggest customers. However, as I said before, in even these customers or for small business enterprises, of which there are many as well in India, if you look at a solution that isn't too big and therefore, quite frankly speaking, comes at a little bit of a lower cost, capital cost including, they may come reasonably so across standard edition. Standard edition is a full set of feature-enabled database. So if you have just the idea to use a database for your application and you have very standard operations, but you would like to rely on the asset features of a well-established relational database, standard edition is your solution. And I think that quite a few of our customers, even those that already have an enterprise edition, also have a standard edition, or just have a standard edition because that's what they're integrated with. So I would think we have a bit of a community, and when we introduced this new feature lately, the standard edition high availability, the responses we got, positive responses we got, indicate that not only is this a useful feature to talk about, it's also something that our customers have been looking for, and we do have some customers looking for it.
Interesting. Okay. Now I know you've been to Sangam many times. How many times?
I think I started Sangam. My first Sangam was in 2014. I would have to look it up, but roughly that's right.
Okay, so that's many times. I've only been to one, last year. What about Yatra? Have you been down for the Yatra tour?
Now you put the finger on the wound, I think I could say now.
Since this is the virtual version of that.
Right, and that's exactly the reason. So no, while I have been in many Sangams, I have never made it to Yatra. There's majorly two reasons for it. It's a lot of travel in a short period of time that I could deal with, but also the time in the year when it happens is, for many reasons, some are personal, not a very good time for me to travel. And so I never really made it to Yatra. And so it's kind of nice that this year it's virtual, because that enables me to finally participate.
Yeah, I was there last year. It was a 10-city tour last year. I went on 6 cities. Wow. And so I think the planning for this year was 12 cities, 3 full weeks. And I was really looking forward to this. I wanted to go on the whole thing. I was really looking forward to it. And the whole world changed, but it is an incredible experience. So if, in the future, if you can make it, it really is an incredible experience, because you still get the Indian community feel, but each city is different. And it has a different makeup of developers and DBAs and ages and genders. And it's actually, each one was very different experience. So as the world heals up in the future, it'd be great if you can actually make the tour some year. One of the things that I notice about you and the others that I've interviewed, who do similar work to you, is you're always out there, you're always talking, you're at conferences, you're involved with the community. And I was wondering if you can just talk for a few minutes about how you feel about the community, the value that you get out of it, the value, the things that you contribute to the community, just the whole functioning of it, because it is very substantial. The more and more I talk to people, the more I realize just how sophisticated it is.
Yes, thanks for asking. I think that's good that you ask, because I have been supporting the community, as you said it, in many ways. When I was an individual contributor and now with the team, I've always made it a point that within the team we should be working with and serving the community in many ways. I will name a few, because it's not only tremendously important that we have this connectivity. As a product management team as mine, obviously we work with customers. That's one of our major focus areas, working with the customers and improving the products based on the customer feedback. Now, in this statement, customers can easily be replaced with community. When we go out to the community, it's not only for the purpose of presenting. That is just one aspect of it, and we love doing it, don't get me wrong, but it's also to get in contact with our consumers. And I'm not saying customers. It's not important whether you're a customer as in you pay for the product, as long as you use the Oracle database. The feedback we get from people using the Oracle database in whatever capacity, developers, DBAs, buyers, architects, all of the feedback that we get is important to us. And a lot of this feedback we wouldn't be getting through email, we wouldn't be getting if we have very formalized events, sometimes back in headquarters, which we call customer visits. They are very valuable, don't get me wrong, but if I go to, in my case, Singam, and you're right about the Yatra tour, I would love to join at some point in time, and I will make it a strong attempt, because this is yet another area of community that I haven't experienced. But if I go to Singam or other conferences in the world, I go to UK, I go to Germany, DOAG is the one there, and then of course, based in the US, I go to a lot of conferences in the US. If we speak there, we meet people. We meet some people multiple times. So every year we meet the same people, which is great, because you're coming back home. In case of DOAG, I'm originally from Germany, or you come back to see friends in UK, US, and particularly also in Singam. As I said, I have been there multiple times, come there, I recognize faces. And there we build a community, but we also build a relationship with people. And oftentimes I would come to one of these conferences, Singam included, and I would speak to people, and they go, "Oh yeah, I remember we talked about this last year." I said, yeah, we did this and this about it. So the feedback we get from the community helps us internally to develop our products better. It helps us to see where we are missing things and to improve. And then we present it back. And then, of course, there is a catalytic effect to the community, because as we work with our community members in the formally stated way, well, they are better informed about our products, they are better informed about our features, and can use the Oracle database more efficiently, can use them in more cases. And so it's a perfect combination. And I think I can speak for the team saying we love it. And a lot of my team members do the same as I do.
Yeah, I definitely have noticed this. There's a great interaction between the database at multiple levels, at the executive level and at the engineering level. There is a lot of direct interaction with the community. I've been to India multiple times for Oracle in the last 4 years, and in one capacity or another at conferences, Yatras, and Sangams. And one of the things that I've noticed, and I've asked this question specifically, is that the community is changing. There's new people, there's young people, it's more diverse, the skills are more diverse. And I specifically ask about the relationship or the relation between, say, the number of DBAs versus the number of developers. And they say the number of developers is increasing. And the skill sets are diversifying, and people are just becoming more skilled, more mature, more sophisticated. And I was wondering if you've noticed something similar in terms of the, say, the skill set of the community.
Yes, absolutely. I can confirm all that you said. So I've been, as I said, going to many conferences on a regular basis in different countries. And the observation I've made is pretty much the same across all of them. We have two aspects that you touched on, and I maybe elaborate a bit on this. So one is that we have a very stable community. So a lot of our community members have been with Oracle, such as me, for a very long time. I've been working for Oracle in itself for roughly 20 years, but a lot of the community members that I interact with on a regular basis have been similarly long with Oracle, maybe not working for Oracle, but a part of the community, some even long. So that is one part. But of course, as this is the case, there is an effect that we lose some on the upper end because people, perhaps retire, and we get newer members into the community, which is great. And these newer members are not necessarily DBAs or people affiliated to the database, but more and more so developers, which is great because Oracle database, as I said, we work with the community, has also started looking into and tailoring to this part of the community. If you look, for example, and that's not part of my presentation, just to give you a quick idea before I touch on the second part, if you look at our latest material and informational material about the Oracle database, one of the things that we highlight is the Converge database. The Converge database allows various tools, meaning to say developer tools, to be used on top of the Oracle database. We have JSON support. We have Apex as one of the more developer-oriented components of the Oracle database that you can use by using the Oracle database. It comes with it. There's no extra cost with it. So we have seen that what used to be a very DBA and database-centric community is kind of merging into a developer DBA and database-centric community, and so does the database adapt to this requirement.
Right.
The other thing is skill set. Skill set is a particular area there where I have presented on, and it was actually the Singam and Sai in particular who said, I think 2 or 3 years ago, 2018 is when I presented it first time. He said, we heard about high availability. Do you have something in regards to skills that DBAs or Oracle community members should develop? So I developed a presentation that I call Oracle in parentheses, DBA skills to nurture, obtain, and maintain, something along this line. Now it escapes me, but this is approximately the title. And this presentation talks about skills to have as a DBA or to obtain if you don't have them in order to keep up with the change in technology. Less so with the change in the Oracle database supports it all, but there is a change in technology that the Oracle database needs to go with, and so should our community members go along with it. And so there is also a bit of a change in skill sets. Luckily, if you have Oracle database skills, that's what the presentation will also show and explain why. You're very easy to adapt future skills. So in other words, the world is going to a data-driven architecture, not only according to Oracle. In general, there's a data-driven orientation nowadays. And if you use the Oracle database, we have analytics functionality in the Oracle database that is very easily be used to tailor to the demand of a data-driven technology. So, this is one presentation, but it is a presentation reflecting the demand from the community and the technology changes.
All right. And it marks these changes, I think, spark a lot of opportunity. One of the things that I think is great about this industry, I don't like everything about this industry, but one of the things that's cool about it is that it does change very, very quickly. So it gives new people the opportunity to jump in because the people who are already there, they're under tremendous pressure to keep current. And if they don't, they're not going to be relevant in a fairly short amount of time. Now, all industries change, but this one is breakneck, and that's, as I said, a good thing because you can skill up relatively quickly, Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. It has always been, ever since I left college or university, whatever you want to call it, it has been the saying that within 3 years, the knowledge I have acquired during my studies would expire. If I was lucky, 5 years, and then I would have to learn new skills is not the right word, but I need to renew my knowledge about what I know about IT. And that has been proven to be true. Right. Now, what has helped me, and so will it help others, I think, is if you have an Oracle database knowledge
right.
as part of your skill set, you can build up on it for future technologies to come. I mean, the Oracle database has been the foundation for new technologies for more than 20 years. I'll give you some examples as I did before. We have developed Apex as a low-code way of developing applications. We have supported JSON when XML databases became famous. We have object support when object-oriented databases came in. We now are looking and have already started to support blockchain because more and more databases, because the database technology is going towards blockchain and more use cases surround about blockchain for the Oracle, for the database, and so the Oracle database supports this now too. And last but not least, for the longest time, we had only one means of scaling, which is Oracle Real Application Clusters, meaning to say horizontal scaling across multiple nodes. Nowadays, we support Oracle sharding. Oracle sharding is a shared nothing-based architecture, and the difference here is then if you use RAG, your expectation is that the application doesn't need to change at all. If you use sharding in and then Oracle sharding, the expectation is that your application needs to be shard aware. So the change in community that we spoke about before, where some application developer knowledge may be useful, the Oracle database helps you to develop it. And as you develop it, you can then apply it to new technologies that you see outside and now within the Oracle database, such as sharding. So I think you're absolutely right. There is a change going on, and it's a fast change. But for that matter, the Oracle database has a bit of a rock, shall I say, that you can rely on to take you to the next step.
Right. It's a bit of stability actually in the middle of the storm, and providing new opportunity. So, all right, all good stuff. All right, Markus, so standard edition, high availability. When are you going to do this talk?
Oh, yeah, it's on the 15th of July, 9:30 San Francisco time. 9:30 a.m. in the morning. Again, it's on the 15th of July at 9:30 p.m. San Francisco time, 10 a.m. India Standard Time.
Cool. All right. Well, good luck with the talk. It's great that you were finally able to participate in Yatra. But I will see you next year for the 12-city tour.
Yes, sir.
Local Groundbreakers Yatra. You got to do all 12 cities with me.
Okay. We'll do that. Thank you so much.
Markus, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye now.